opening lines of Yehuya's Desire. Your arms, my love, are lay until sun paint the sky. If you should ever abandon me, my love, I'd surely die. Nearly.
Oh yeah, okay, tell us, where are you from?
So I was born here in Canada. My parents are from the West Indies. My mother is from Tobago, and then my father is Jamaican, and then his family is actually from India.
A Jamaican Trinidadian marriage, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here, Trinidadian. Yes.
Yeah, so that is where I am from.
Nice. Okay, so you're born here. Have you ever lived elsewhere?
I did live in Jamaica for a while.
How long?
High school there for about half a year.
Okay.
Then my family split up, and then I ended up coming back to the country.
Ah.
And basically, I've been here ever since.
Wow. What about living, even it was a brief period of time, do you think living in Jamaica ever influenced you in any ways that you noticed?
It has completely changed me.
What?
It
How?
has. For one, I did not know any patois before I went down to Jamaica. None.
You learned your
And
patois?
so I would be on the phone with my grandmother, and my grandmother would say something to me, and I would not understand the word she said.
Yeah.
And then I would say something back to her, and then she would just there'd be a pause, and then I'd hear you know that Jamaican grandmother asking you questions, you know. So then I learned patois, and I was able to converse with her at least passively. It opened a whole new window to my culture. I learned a lot about how people relate to each other. It explained a lot of the ways my parents had. Even though my mother is Trinidadian, it's the Caribbean. Whether you're English, French, or Spanish-speaking Caribbean, there is a lot of similarity between the
Culture,
islands.
yes.
And I actually read a book that really changed my perspective on work.
What was the book?
It was Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up reading a lot of epics, as I mentioned before, African folk tales and all of that. But I had never read a book of fiction that was novelized that was more than just a story about a Nazi, or more than just a story about some guy and how he opened a basket and mosquitoes took over the world. Right? This was a real story about a man in pre-colonial Africa who is dealing with real life problems in a setting that was different, in a culture that was semi-familiar, and dealing with the changes that were brought by colonization. And that really resonated with me.
Wow.
I must have read that book at least 5 times.
Wow.
I have a copy that I guard with my life.
What resonated so much with you? What specifically?
I think it was just how authentic the book was.
Yeah.
When you hear about how his views were on why men should be planting yams, and why men break cola nuts when they meet each other, and things like why he's considered a warrior because he's killed 15 men in battle, and you realize that the battles were actually very small, and you learn about the fact that he had real problems with his family. The fact that even though he was hyper masculine, his daughter was his favorite child. Even though he was, you could construe him in a modern sense of being abusive to his wife, he really did love his family, and he would have died for them. So it's just learning about this complex individual in a setting that isn't based on European culture. So in a way, I was able to resonate with him a bit more because he gave me a deeper window into my culture. And then finding out years later, when my grandfather died, that his ancestors are actually from Nigeria, that made the book even more important.
Wow.
Because even though it was about a tribe that was a rival to the tribe my great-grandparents are from, or my great-great-grandparents, or how far back you can go,
Yes.
even though it's about a tribe that was rival to theirs, the culture was very similar. And it gave me a window into the world that my ancestors were living in.
Yes.
And the way that they saw the world.
Well, that's how I feel about your books. They're giving people a view into another culture from a different time that is sort of the origin place of the diaspora. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, why a person like me who's watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta, how that's going to a series that's fantasy, how is that going to connect with someone like me?
Well, the reason why I think it would connect with someone like you is because it still deals with real human problems.
Drama.
People have drama.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a show like Empire.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
A show like Empire is packed with family drama.
Yes.
And if you basically take Empire and you replace a record company with an actual empire, you can still tell the same story.
Right.
And that is essentially what I'm doing. I'm taking real life elements and putting them in a fantastic setting. And the fantastic setting takes the edge off in terms of, oh, this is not real. When this character has his arms ripped off because he, disobeyed the king.
Did that happen in your book?
That doesn't happen in my book.
Okay.
But somebody does get disemboweled.
Okay, wow. All right.
Well, it happens in the main storyline. I don't want to give away too much.
Right.
But essentially, they're dealing with real life issues. They're just doing it in a different setting.
Right.
So, you have a wife that doesn't trust another woman near her husband.
All
that
wives
doesn't
of
matter.
all times.
It doesn't matter
Forever.
if you are in the Stone Age
Yes.
or if you are flying through space on the Enterprise.
Right.
If you don't trust this woman near your husband, you don't trust this woman near your husband.
Right.
If a person struggling with drug addiction in 2017 will have the same problems that a person struggling with drug addiction in 2017 BC will have.
Yeah.
They will still have that impact to their family. They will still have their economic problems. They will still feel the consequences to their health. They will still doubt their own sanity.
Right.
And so that is essentially the appeal of what I believe the appeal is in my stories.
Wow, I'm sold. So now this series, it's available in e-format, or how do I get it?
So the first book is going to be available online on April 27th.
Okay.
And I chose April 27th for a very specific reason. Being the history nerd that I am, and you can Google this, April 27th, the year 711, was the year that Moors conquered Spain.
Ah.
So being a little bit superstitious,
Wow, okay.
I'm releasing the book on the same date that Africans conquered something.
Okay.
Or conquered the Iberian Peninsula, because I plan on conquering the world of literature. So I figured, let my first foray into the world of literature as a serious writer be on the day that the Moors conquered Spain.
Awesome. And, okay, so that's the e-book.
That's the ebook.
And you're doing a launch. Tell me about your e-launch.
So the e-launch is essentially just a little online party that will happen with a live video with me at midnight. So on the night of the 26th, at midnight of the 27th.
Right.
It'll be a short little video live of me clicking the button and making the video available.
The book, you mean? The book.
Yes, the book.
Yeah.
Sorry, the book. The video will be available because I'll be in it. It'll be live,
Yeah.
but the book will be available.
Facebook Live?
Facebook Live, yes.
Okay.
I was considering Instagram, but I have a lot more people who follow me on Facebook, so
Yeah.
I figured I'll just do that.
Go on longer with Facebook.
Go on with Facebook, exactly.
Yeah.
And so essentially the e-launch will be me actually releasing the book online and saying it is now available for purchase.
Awesome. And how much will the book be on?
So in terms of the price for the ebook,
Yeah.
I am actually going to do some staggered pricing. I'm going to make it very cheap. I'm going to make it cheap the night of.
Yeah.
So probably under $2.
Okay, nice.
And then afterwards, I'll be raising the price depending on the ratio value, etc. Leave my hand out to the same. This pledge I'll swear to you. Through hours and days and months and years, till the end I'll be true. Well, my view of it is this. I think people should talk with their money. And protesting in front of the store to bring attention to the issue, I think that's an acceptable way of bringing attention to the issue. But it doesn't solve the problem. If their store shuts down, another one is going to open up.
True.
And if they really want to see change, then talk with your money. Either open up a store, and I know it's difficult because economic times are tough. It's hard to find the money. It takes money to open these things, but try to do that, or find someone within the community who will treat you with more respect and put your money there. I can't say the number of times I've been to stores and people have followed me around like I'm going to steal.
Wow.
And it wouldn't matter if I'm in a suit. It wouldn't matter if I'm wearing sweatpants. It wouldn't matter. Well, it wouldn't matter if I was naked in the store.
Hopefully not naked.
But essentially, I know what it's like to be treated like a criminal when you are not one.
Right.
And so my view of it is, talk with your money.
Yeah.
I prefer to spend my money in places where I know I'm treated with respect.
Yes.
I prefer to spend my money on people who respect me.
Right.
And I prefer to take money from people who will treat me with respect. If I am doing business with someone and that person treats me with less respect than I deserve as a human being, then I don't want their money.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
And this goes to literature too, because there are a lot of times, I'm a book fan, I'm a fan of reading and English literature. And there are a lot of times where I've been disappointed by authors, where I read the book and I love it and it's wonderful and it's in the canon, so-called.
Right.
And then I learn about their lives or read other things they say, and they're either racist or sexist or something awful. And then I have to deal with the dilemma of how to separate the art from the person, or just say, forget it. This is a terrible person and I'm not supporting anything they do anymore. And with you, I know you're a great guy. And so people should not only support the art, but should support the artist. And that means buying books by people who have some modicum of respect and decency, and don't treat people like crap.